I feel like I'm waiting to go into the doctor's office.
Don't remind me.
It's so quiet in here.
I'm going to the dentist next week.
Uh-oh.
All right.
Vegas this weekend, though. Stunt Awards, you guys. You're going to see us in Vegas.
I'm going to catch your mic on first.
Mm-hmm.
And go. All right. 3, 2, 1.
Good evening and welcome to the TLC Unleashed Show, Hollywood Vibes, Sports and Life. We are live in the studio today in Los Angeles, California. I have two very special guests in the studio tonight. So we have, first off, David Perez with Omega International Security. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yes, we're super excited to have you here. David's got a great story. We're excited to also introduce you to Jennifer Calig Silverstein. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tracy.
Yes, and she is a master. She's a sensei and teaches and promotes self-defense. And she's actually been teaching me and coaching me on how to protect myself and have safety and awareness. So this is what we're going to be talking about tonight. David is the CEO and president of Omega International, and it's Elite Executive Security Service. So you can talk a little bit about that and tell us all about your company and how long you've been in business. I know you've been doing this for over 25 years.
Yes. Well, Omega National Group, we focus on three major areas, and that is personal protection, investigation, and consultation and training. Under our personal protection, we do bodyguard services. We do a client 24-hour protection at their homes, abroad, and travel with their families. We also do a lot of special events around town. Everything from small events to high-profile red carpet events. We also focus on schools as well, private schools. We have armed and unarmed security staff in that schools. Under our investigations, we do quite a bit of background checks. We also do stalking and cyber stalking. Cyber stalking and stalking has become prevalent this last couple years, especially with social media. And then lastly, under our training and consultation, we do a lot of active shooter training for corporations and for schools. And we also do vulnerability assessments.
Okay.
Which means we can come into it could be a school, corporation, or private residence and find out where their weak spots are, where their blind spots are, and how to make them safer in their everyday life.
Wow, amazing. That's incredible. I know we've met before a few times and talked about this, and so it was really, important to me that we talked about cyber stalking and all these issues today. And then we have Jennifer on the other side of things who's teaching and, showing us how to protect ourselves in these safety and awareness issues. And I was just amazed by taking your class, Jennifer. I like to call her sensei because she is just, incredible at what she does. And just in the few times that I've taken your class at the House of Champions, the self-defense class with Spice Williams-Crosby, shout out to Spice as well, it's been such a phenomenal experience. Not only has it helped me raise my awareness level and just my, surroundings, but it's also raised my confidence as well.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm so grateful to be here today. And I'm really happy that you're encouraging more women to come and learn self-defense and take their safety into their own hands.
Yeah.
And we're changing lives one day at a time, one woman at a time, and it's a process. Even if you're never attacked, God forbid, it's going to change your life for the better, make you more confident, make you more self-assured, and that translates into other areas of your life as well.
Absolutely. And Jennifer, your study has been Krav Maga. So that's what you've done that for quite some time.
I fell in love with Krav Maga, which is the Israeli martial arts of face-to-face combat. Originally designed for military and police force, and then kind of watered down for civilian use because it's direct and to the point. I tell everybody I'm about 90% Krav Maga and 10% mixed martial arts and other areas too. And we specialize in street fighting, street smart survival skills, maximum damage for minimum effort, and vital point strikes. For women, that's especially important because muscle for muscle, pound for pound, as you know, women will typically be outpowered by a male attacker. And I don't like to just vilify men because women get attacked by other women too. And we need to be mindful of that. But the only thing to stop an attacker is pain and vital strikes that are going to cause that damage to stop the attack so that you can get out for your life. We're not teaching you to be an MMA fighter and go 5 rounds in a ring with boxing gloves and get judged on how good you did. We're just teaching you to do something so you can get home alive.
Yes, absolutely. And not to diminish that, but I do want to learn how to do that too. I'm going to add that on the resume just so you guys all know, because I would like to go 5 rounds, as many as I can go. But it's incredible, the strength and the power and what we're learning in there, and just and taking your power back. You're also an ex-Marine as well, correct?
Yes.
Yes, so you've been doing this for a long time, David, so 25 years. I can imagine what you've seen over your time. And your security services, so it's a 5-diamond elite service, and you're protecting both men and women, so it's a little bit different on Jennifer's side. But you've worked in the White House and the Pentagon as well.
Yes.
Are you able to tell us a little bit about that experience?
Sure. When I was in the Marine Corps, I was originally stationed in Quantico, Virginia, and I was afforded the opportunity to go to the White House at 21 years old and work President Clinton's inauguration, and it was an overwhelming experience. And I thought, wow, this is what it takes to protect an individual, the biggest office in the world. I thought it was amazing, and I think from that point I developed a passion for really what it takes to protect people. And I've been in the business over 25 years now, and it's great.
Amazing. And what, in both of your opinions, what do you think is the biggest mistake that people make not to protect themselves and put them out there in a dangerous way?
I think the awareness. Nowadays, we're so involved with our phones, we're so involved with our work, our careers. We have to remember that it's the growing population. We all live local here in LA. It's a big city. And there's a lot of crazy things that are happening in the world today, with political stuff going on and with crime. There's just a lot of dumb things that are going on. So the self-awareness, we have to be really self-aware of what's going on. We have to be in tune to wherever we're at. Take 2 minutes to see where the exits are. Take 2 minutes to see where you're at. Put the phone down for a couple minutes and just know where you're at, what your surroundings are.
Yeah.
And we do a lot of women's seminar safeties as well.
Okay.
And we tell them, hey, if you're leaving the mall, if you're leaving somewhere by yourself, ask for an escort to your car.
Yeah.
Or if you're by yourself, put the phone down, get your keys out, and before you walk out of the building, you know exactly where you're going, and show that confidence. So if there is a bad person that's watching you, they can see that you're kind of ready. You don't look like an easy prey, so to speak. And just be aware. I think the biggest thing is we have to be aware of our surroundings nowadays. It's a different world.
Absolutely, Jennifer, and that's exactly what we learned this Saturday, and at our self-defense class, and that's exactly it. And I did it last night, coming out of the gym, and just coming out of the store, out of the gas station, and having my keys ready now, and putting my phone away. So because I'm always distracted before, it's just you're such an easy target, and I realized that over the last couple of days of just putting my phone down and just doing that. But then also this morning too, getting out to go to work, and just being like, I didn't even notice things before that after taking this class, and now I'm like, oh, there's actually a school there or whatever, just like big things that seem little things to you. So you would agree with the awareness as well?
Yes, definitely. Awareness is key, and people need to get out of their bubble. Some more than others. I hear a lot of women say, well, I live in a good neighborhood. Well, an attack can happen to anyone, anywhere, at any time.
Yeah.
And the bad guys just don't stay in the bad neighborhoods. They go into good neighborhoods. So no one, not to be paranoid, but to be aware. Even if you're never the victim of a crime, maybe someone else will be, and you could be a good witness for them because you've been observant and you've taken stock of what's around you, and you notice something not right, and you can assist somebody or be a witness for somebody at the very least, and if not, help yourself. So definitely awareness is key.
Okay. Yeah, because teaching these classes, also doing security for over 25 years, this experience, some of the stories, is that what you hear mostly of the attacks, when people are just not in tune to their surroundings and where they're at?
Yeah, and also with, we deal with a lot of clients who receive threats and they try to downplay their threats. There's a difference between someone who may post something on social media that doesn't like you, that says, hey, I don't like your show, you suck, or whatever. That's one thing. But then there's another type of threat where it's someone's giving you specifics, hey, I know where you live, I'm going to kidnap your kids, and making very direct threats. And I think a lot of times, because of where we live, some people might say, oh, it's Beverly Hills, it's Bel Air, this doesn't happen. And people try to rationalize that it won't happen. And unfortunately, it is happening.
Yeah.
And so I think that you can't really downplay if you're being threatened, whether you're a public figure or not. We deal with a lot of regular people that are threatened as well.
Yeah.
And so you have to take those threats serious. And you can no longer, being in a different world, just downplay what's going on around you.
Okay, so let's go into a case of stalking then. So let's go not online quite yet, but stalking. So you have somebody that's stalking you. They're letting you know that they're following you. So they are writing posts on social media to let people know that they're following you, maybe sending text messages, phone calls, and letting you know that they know where you are at all times. How do you handle a situation like that? So say if a woman came to you and asked for you to protect her, what would you suggest and how would you provide a service for that?
Good question. The first thing we would do is ask if they made a police report, because stalking is a misdemeanor and it can be a felony depending on what they're doing. So, a lot of times clients don't want to make police reports. They're embarrassed on what's going on. It could be a past relationship. It could be just a fan that they met online, if they're a public figure, or just some nutcase that decided to target them because they saw them in the supermarket. Now all of a sudden they've seen them, for the past week. Now they want to make contact with them.
Yeah.
You should avoid contact. First of all, you should not respond to their calls, not respond to their emails at all.
Okay.
Because then once you create dialogue with them, they probably will not stop. It's going to encourage them. But the first thing you have to do is make a police report.
Okay.
Because you have to put that documented that you are being harassed at the least.
Yeah.
And then what we do from our point of view, once we are hired, what we do is we'll deflect that person away from our client. And we have many tricks that we use, but we will take that bad person basically away from our client. Not physically, but there's a lot of things that we can do, and we'll do a pretty lengthy investigation on who that person is.
Okay.
In the past, we found out that people who are stalking, they may have warrants for their arrest already. They may be prior convicted felon. They may have a criminal record already, which is actually going to help getting them arrested for what they're doing already.
Yeah, because it's a really scary thing, and I hear it a lot because people say, "Oh, well, he won't hurt me," or he's not that crazy, or I mean, you hear it all, and I coach clients as well in success coaching in life, and I hear these things all the time, and I've been through situations myself, and to have to look and watch your back and be scared every single day is just something like you shouldn't have to live in fear like that. So providing a service for that is incredible because I know where there's been times where I've walked out and just gone, I don't even want to leave the house because I don't know where he'll be or if he's going to be there or if he's going to be in the back seat of my car or it's terrifying.
It is.
So,
and that's part of what the stalker wants. They want the power. They want you to be powerless, and they want to control the power.
Yeah.
And, we do a great job in our team. We have a great men and women that work for us that, we have one of the few jobs where we can, you always hear, don't take your job, personal, don't take things personally. Our staff, we take things personal. If you threaten our clients, we take this as the same as you threaten us.
Yeah.
So our team of dedicated men and women, we're going to ensure that we're going to take reasonable steps to make sure our clients are safe and they never get harmed. And, if somebody's stalking our client, whether it be physically or over the internet, best believe we're going to do our best to make sure it stops. And we're very, very effective on doing that.
Yeah. And Jennifer, let's go to you. Let's talk about, I know there's a lot of different cases when we're in the self-defense classes where, what are the top 3 things where women are being violated or hurt? Is it becoming do you know what the top 3 are? Or is it domestic? Is it, what are the things that we need to look for?
Well, I just wanted to say real quick, if you can't afford a 5-star diamond security company like Mr. Perez, learn some self-defense classes and come to our class. But statistically, domestic abuse, you're more likely statistically to be attacked by someone you know or someone that you love. I don't know what the top 3 would be. I mean, then again, there's 30% of attacks happen in parking lots.
Yeah.
So I don't have numbers for what the statistics are for how many are random, how many are close, but regardless, and getting back to the awareness, if it's not someone that you know and love, you're not in a bad domestic abuse relationship, or you don't have a violent home that you're coming from, your odds of never getting attacked are pretty high. But the awareness plays in so many other areas. Cars going off the street, things flying that you weren't paying attention to. I mean, we can get hurt in so many other ways, not necessarily from a violent attack. And don't put yourself in those situations. If you're in a domestic abuse situation or a violent relationship, you've got to get out, because your life and your well-being is more important than anything. That should be your number one priority. That and that of your families and your children. I think women come in from all over, from different backgrounds with different experiences. Some were one-time drunken things at a bar, some are bad relationships, some are just an arbitrary attack, and some have never been attacked. But everything they learn is going to be helpful moving forward. I just hate when people say, well, I've never been attacked before, or this has never happened before, as if that were some sort of insurance that's never going to happen in the future. Because we just don't know. And the world is getting increasingly unstable. So
And violent
be
crime,
prepared.
violent crime
Yes.
up just in LA alone. Violent crime is up 40%. So you can't ignore that.
Wow.
40%.
Yes, that's incredible. I mean, I don't know, I've only been in LA for just about 3.5 years now, but I know there's a lot of gangs, and we talked about that the other day too, and we just don't know what we don't know. So if we're not aware of this and the gang violence that's around, I mean, that's the other thing too. We talked about a lot about this as well. Speaking up. So if you're like people coming at you, like protecting yourself, because we can only learn so much, especially when it comes to self-defense or protecting ourselves, especially as women. So we have to be careful how much we say. So is it better to just, if someone's coming towards you or trying to attack you, or like, is it better to run? Because people freak out when it comes into this scenario. So, I mean, like, how do we prepare for stuff like this? If, say, we don't have the self-defense tactics and we don't know how to do this, because fear sets in, and, I mean, people freeze. I mean, you see it all the time. I mean, I even in the class was like, I don't know what to do. I mean, I'm a pretty strong woman, but I literally did not know what to do, and I wasn't even in the fight or flight situation. So imagine what we feel when we are being attacked. People shut down. Let's talk about that shutting down mechanism.
Do you want to address
Sure,
that?
I go. At first, because we teach active shooter training, and part of the active shooter training we teach run, hide, fight, and exactly what you're saying. If you don't have a pre-plan on, what you're going to do in some type of emergent situation, your mind will first go into denial. Is this happening to me? This is not happening to me, and it's going to take several seconds for your brain to process what's going on.
Yeah.
And so you really have to limit the time that your brain is processing that emergency situation, and the sooner the better. Because if you're sitting there trying to process it, oh my God, I'm being attacked, I'm not really sure what to do, this person's on me, they're hitting me, they're shooting me, you have to immediately go into, you have to somewhat train for it and somewhat have a forethought of, hey, what would I do in this scenario?
Okay.
What would I do in this scenario
really
prior
happening?
to this
Yeah.
being attacked? If I was to be, just if you're sitting here, if I was to be attacked, what would I do? If you can get away and run away from the situation, that's fine. That's always the best option.
Yeah.
However, if you cannot, then you're going to have to somehow defend yourself. And, taking self-defense classes, staying in shape is great, because you want to be the winner of the outcome. You're not there to go 5 rounds, like you said. You're there to injure the person and get out of there. Get out of there as quickly as you can. We always recommend as well for women to carry pepper spray. Pepper spray is a very effective tool. It may not work in every scenario, but it'll probably work in about 90% of the scenarios if you know how to use it. And we always recommend buying the commercial grade.
Okay.
The little keychain ones, those aren't going to work. They don't really squirt. They'll probably just squirt out a little bit, and it's not going to get somebody in their eyes. But actually buying one they actually sell for security staff to wear, which civilians can actually carry as well legally.
Okay.
And that's a great effective tool. And if someone's coming near you, you can always pull it out of your purse and say, hey, get away, get back, I have pepper spray, get away from me. And
Okay.
if they take another step, you spray them, and you spray them, you run. run
Yeah.
away.
Okay.
And the FBI statistics show if you're a woman and if you're walking to your car, if you have another person with you, your attack rate goes down like by 80%.
Mm-hmm.
So just by having a companion, whoever that person is, if you're working late at night in
Yeah.
your office and there's nobody else here, maybe the cameraman, maybe just somebody working that's late. Hey, do you mind just walking in my car? It's kind of dark outside.
Mm-hmm.
If you're at the supermarket, ask one of the bag person, hey, do you need help outside? Yes, I do. Can you please walk in my car, my groceries?
Yeah.
So just by you walking with somebody else, your chances of being attacked go down 80%, and that's tremendous.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I can't stop thinking about the young women coming up and going into college and universities. Date
Oh, yeah.
rape.
Mhm.
I mean, all this stuff's happening. I hear it around me all the time. So I don't have a daughter myself, but I know that if I had a daughter, I would make sure that I prepared as much as I could so she could be prepared for this. So there's so many things that are happening. These young women are getting raped, they're getting drugged, they're getting, they're drinking, they're doing drugs, they're slipping things in their drinks and stuff. How can we as parents and protectors and people that, are advising these young women, how can we help protect, but also educate the families, educate the parents so that we can keep our kids safe?
Yeah.
Because I know, and this
Yeah.
is such a, big thing
That's
for
what
me.
every
Yeah.
parent wants to know,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, and I think it's you have to really it's a very fast-paced world now. It's very fast-paced because young children now can go on YouTube, they can Google anything. They're almost grown up too fast because of the internet. They all have access to tablets, and they can experience things that we as adults didn't experience things until we were actually a little bit older. But now kids are seeing these things and viewing these things,
Yeah,
and then they're trying them at home or they're trying them at sleepovers.
yeah,
So I think that you really have to educate your kids at an early age and say, hey, these are the pitfalls of life, and obviously drugs and alcohol will play in a huge factor to that if they're in their college years or their preteens.
yeah,
To stay off that, and hopefully there's a good home foundation that they have a great structure at home.
yeah.
But if you're not teaching your children the right from the wrong, somebody else is, and it could be social media, and it could be that tablet.
Absolutely. And let's dive into that. So, let's talk about the Craigslist, the Facebooks, the Instagram direct messaging, things like that. There's predators lurking on the other side of that because we don't know who's on the other side of the keyboard. We don't know who's on the other side of this, communicating with us. I've been catfished before. I'm not gonna lie. It's happened to me. I've also been lured into a relationship via Facebook. I consider myself a very intelligent woman. If I can be lured in by social media because it's the appearance of what people say, and the only reason I share this story is so that I can explain to people that it's happening all over. It's happening with adults, it's happening with young children. So our kids aren't supervised all the time. So you hear of all these things happening on Craigslist. So like the protection of it, don't go meet people at their homes, make sure you meet in a public place. Things like that, if they're selling things on the internet. Facebook, the dates, there's FBI investigations on the Tinder. I don't know if you've heard of those. There's been a lot of things like that. So how do we protect everybody from things like this as well? I mean, younger women, mature women as well.
Yeah, I mean, we do a lot of talks again, and what we stress is, when you have a Facebook, Instagram, it's cool to have 1,400 friends and 1,000, 2,000, 10,000 followers, and people are constantly posting odd things. You don't know, you probably know 1% of those people.
Yeah.
Right. The 1,200 friends you have on Facebook really aren't 1,200 of your friends. You probably know maybe 100 people, maybe less.
Yeah.
And so you're posting provocative photos. You're posting where you're at on vacation, where your home's empty.
Yeah.
You're posting all these things that are to strangers. Would you stand in front of your window and as cars drive by, make these provocative pictures and gestures? You probably wouldn't. So there are some bad people that are on the other end, and so we have to be aware of that. And it's you got to really think about before you post.
Yeah.
Children just don't have that sort of long-term consequence built in yet, depending on their age.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, depending, Tracy, of course, of what age group you're talking about. I mean,
Yeah.
you really need to just limit their exposure or their contact with those social media venues. up until a certain age. And, and then there's the denial. Like you said, you were catfished. I mean, everyone's in denial that it's not going to happen to me. But then it does happen,
Yeah.
you know, and then you get caught off guard. And that's what a lot of these predators and these attackers do. They want to catch you off guard.
Yeah.
And that gives them the upper hand and the control.
Of course.
You know, I just wanted to get back to your other question of how we can protect women and what should they do if they're attacked or confronted with an attack. And because no two attacks are alike and they're all different, it's hard to give them just one thing other than awareness. But getting back to the voice, because you touched on it, and I just want to make sure that we expand on the voice. Because one, I love this talk show, The Power of the Voice, because we don't realize that our voice does have power, but we tend to shut down under those extreme stress, like David mentioned, and we freeze. And we're in that one denial and that shock of, oh, is this really happening to me? What do I do? And while you're going through that thought process, an attack is still in motion.
Yes.
And you need to, that's why the awareness steps in, because if you are aware, you save yourself the time to react quicker. But once it's on, you have to react. So whether you don't do or don't know martial arts, or you have some self-defense skills, you need to do something. So any woman listening right now, whether you've taken a martial arts class or a self-defense class yet or not, you know, don't feel like you have to have a self-defense class to defend yourself.
No.
Do something. But that voice is so important, because that gives you your power to fight back. And they always say will trumps skill. So you can be a great martial artist, but if you freeze, you're still going to get taken down. But you can have no skills and fight, you know, like we have my partnership with Spice Williams Crosby, that I fight for my life. If you fight for your life and you don't give up, your odds of surviving and getting through that attack are going to greatly jump through. So how do we protect ourselves? To answer your question, ladies, just fight. Learn some skills so you know where to strike that's going to cause the most damage. Pounding them on the chest isn't going to be as effective as gouging their eyes or their throat, but do something to get out alive. When it comes to children, they are unfortunately the most vulnerable and the most at risk, because they're smaller and they're more defenseless. So parents just really need to step in when it comes to, oh, I want to give my kid their liberty, or I want to give them their independence, and I don't want them to feel like I'm spying on them because I want to trust them. You know, parents need to really become parents rather than their kid's friend or their buddy, and they need to monitor, and they need to restrict, and they even need to not just limit, but cut off some of their media exposure if they feel that their kids are getting out of control. You know, we need to be in touch with what our children are doing. But at a certain age, you can tell them right from wrong, but, you know, they just have that denial it's going to happen to them. So teach them when they're young. Teach your little girls and your little boys. Put them in a karate class. Get them in sports. Get them active. Let them learn how to express themselves so that they don't feel so helpless.
Yeah.
You know, it's taking your power back.
Absolutely.
Not being a victim.
Yeah, and I really like that you said, you know, boys as well, because this doesn't, this goes, you know, for everybody. People are, you know, men getting beat up, and, you know, I had a scenario when I was in high school, and a girl thought that her boyfriend liked me, and I was a cool kid in the high school at the time, and you know, I had all the girlfriends, all the, you know, like the football player, you know, this, that, and the other, and it was like one day they completely turned on me, and because they thought that I was with this guy and I wasn't, and they took me out to the baseball diamond, and 7 of them beat the crap out of me, and like my orbital bone, my face was smashed in basically, and they kicked and broke ribs. They punctured my lung, and I was in really rough shape, and I ended up getting mono after that because my immune system was down from stress. And I basically almost lost my life when I was in high school, and it changed the course of my life. And you know, I still have nightmares about it, and I think, you know, you can be the coolest person on the planet, but you can never prepare for something like that. And I, you know, again, being strong, an athlete my whole life, and condition, I work out, you know, I was totally unprepared for that. And So we need to protect ourselves, all around, and just and let our kids know so that we can help each other and really support one another. What I love that you taught in the class as well is that voice. So having like the yelling, the screaming. What did we talk about the other day? One of the girls was, she actually saved a girl's life down the street because she heard her yelling 3 blocks down.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I
Yeah.
mean, being able to scream when we're in class, it's funny because I'm not a timid woman at all. But Jennifer, I love it. She's like, ugh. And it's just she gets in there, gets in your face, and it's just. I mean, you wouldn't expect that coming from a woman. So I think that's also a great tactic as well when we're protecting ourselves, especially if something was to ever happen.
It is, because you got to get out of the thinking and into the action.
Yes.
And something needs to motivate you, your will. But when you use your voice, it's like a supernatural thing happens because there is power in that. And I didn't know that naturally. I had to learn it. I had to learn how to express my voice and my chi and my power through my voice, and it has an effect. And some people are more natural at it than others, and some people need to work on it. But it can be done, and once you find it, it's very empowering.
Well, she's so soft-spoken, and it's funny because we like to have a lively show, and we like to have fun while we're here too, and this is a pretty serious subject. So what we decided is we brought a test, I don't want to call him a dummy because that's just wrong, but we brought a test subject, and he's in the corner, and Jennifer's actually going to just show us a little bit of self-defense, and Brian, come on out behind door number 3. All right, guys, so this is just a little bit. Jennifer, you can take whatever you would like to do. We just want to show a little bit of kind of what we learn. And this isn't, this is fighting for our lives. So when we're in a situation where we actually need to fight for our life to stay alive and come home, these are the types of things that we're learning. So Brian's going to get the crap kicked out of him.
Well, no, I'm sure you
No,
want
I'm
to keep
kidding.
Your eyes
So
don't testicles,
I want to make
right?
sure that we have a little bit of that camera there.
Yeah, I got it.
And Jennifer,
You
just
just
a
stop me.
little bit of a clip just to show, what we're doing.
Okay.
What we're doing.
Move the chair out of
A good attack.
She looks like
And I don't know
Catwoman,
how
too.
many women are attacked and killed every year from being choked or strangled to death. But if it's just one, it's one too many. And it just kills me inside when you know that they could have done something, and I'm sure they tried to fight off their attacker, but when you're being choked, the danger of a choke is so, time-wise is so critical, because it's not a Hollywood choke where you're being strangled over a few minutes. They're actually breaking your windpipe. Hi.
How do you like me so far? I love it.
Right here. So just to review for what we did in the class, you want me to just explode?
Yeah, I want you to give it your all. Yeah, this is fighting for
It's
your
going to
life.
end quick. So basically, you want it to end quick. You don't want to do 5 rounds other than for cardio and for stamina and endurance for a fight, and it's a great workout. On the street, you want to get out of it quickly, especially when it comes to a choke, because you really have literally 3 seconds to fight a choke. So you're going to choke me. Now, obviously, early defense is better, meaning if I saw someone coming to choke me, from here, I'm not going to just go, oh, wait, I know this. I'm going to stop the attack before it happens. My hands are up to protect myself. He comes to choke me. Come in. And I kick him back, right?
Ouch!
I need to get my
Are you wearing your
distance.
cup, Brian?
Right? So,
No, I'm not.
no cup. No cup. But I'm kicking the groin here. I want to get my space so that I can run. Oh, back in the camera. But say I was not aware, I was on my cell phone, or I was half asleep, or I was in that denial stage where I'm thinking, God, what is he doing? Is he really choking me? And he goes to choke. So there are many choke defenses. This is just one. Not every technique works on everybody all the time, but women, if you're watching, and men too, we want to go for the vital areas that are going to cause the most damage. Now, I don't care if he's a 300-pound gorilla and you're 5'1". If you can reach those eyes, he can work every muscle on his body. He is not working those eyes out when they get gouged, and they're going to have a physiological reaction of tearing up. And where's his focus going to be after I eye gouge him? His hands are going to go to his eyes, not so much on the choke, right? Okay. So I like to eye gouge and break the choke. There's also kicking. You're so great, right? There's also, if you have an opening for the groin, kicking the groin. Okay? This is where men are most vulnerable. They can be big and strong, but they've got this little thing here to keep them humble. So, Traci wants to do a real dynamic thing. I am going to break.
And the strange thing is I know these things.
So you're going to come up, and I'm going to show you how to choke me. Because, you know, women got to show the men how you like it.
All right.
You're going to come, and you're going to choke. And you're going to push me back, right?
Okay.
So go for it.
Choke her and push her back.
I know what she's gonna do.
She won't hurt you.
I won't eye gouge you. I'm going to break the choke.
Okay,
Come on, Brian,
right.
go up there and do it.
Do
That
it.
it?
Is that it?
A little harder. Okay.
Joker.
Push me back. Like this. Wah! See, you're nice and relaxed. We're talking. No, I don't want to have a drink with you. Listen, I have a boyfriend. Why don't you leave me alone, okay? Seriously, I'm not interested in you, dude. Come on. No, I'm sorry. No, you're really nice.
Wow, he's so gentle.
If everyone was choked like this,
Yeah,
right. So
then
just
we
for
don't survive.
purposes, since Brian wants to keep his testicles, breaking that choke is important. So he's got the choke on.
Mm-hmm.
You're not really choke women every day. I can see you're a little out of practice. You have to break that choke.
Yeah.
But look at the difference between. Oh, don't choke me. And I didn't know.
Gotta still
Yeah,
fail
sorry.
you.
We don't want Janet Jackson in that moment here.
And wah! Wah! The difference is the voice. The difference is the power.